Hey guys, so this is the new ELF camera from HGLRC, and it looks a lot like the Micro Swift, and the original Micro Swift, not the Micro Swift 2, because it doesn't have the voltage display. And let me just bring in the original Micro Swift here. You can see the back. You got basically the same connections on the left side and the top left side. The camera mounts itself, or the lens mount, looks pretty much the same on both. You can see here. Now this is the 2.3mm lens on the ELF, and then this one here is the 2.1mm lens. So the lenses are different. And you also see that there's another difference here between the Micro Swift and the ELF is that the Micro Swift has a lens, this lock ring here to keep the focus. The ELF does not. So apparently you can freely adjust the focus. Hopefully that doesn't get loose over time. Hopefully that without the lock ring it'll stay in focus when you're flying around. So, and then just for comparison, let me bring in the Micro Swift with a 2.3mm lens. I have a Micro Swift in here with a 2.3mm lens. You can see that the lenses are different and the barrel is longer than on here. So I'll put them side by side like so. And the 2.3mm lens on the Micro Swift is a little bit longer, so it sticks out more. If you carefully look at these side by side, it almost looks like the ELF board is cloned from the Swift board. So you got like these capacitors here, and then they're also over here. You have, it looks like some sort of one chip here, and that chip also exists over here. Yeah, I think this is some sort of a crystal here, and then that's also on this board here. So they've pretty much, it looks like they pretty much copied everything. There's some capacitors on the bottom. You guys can comment if you notice that there's anything particularly different. It looks like that the voltage regulator they're using on this board here is a little different from the one that's being used here, but they're in the same location. And I think that's another capacitor there that's sticking out. So yeah, pretty similar. I mean, obviously the specs are very similar, both 600 TV lines, they're both CCD. And I'm going to actually, we'll plug this one in, look at the video, and then we'll look at the settings and see if it's actually the same firmware as what's on the Micro Swift. Okay, so I'm going to move this over here to this side so there's no glare. And we'll take a look at the settings. This all looks the same. You got the cam title. I'm going to turn that off. Exposure settings. Actually, I have this upside down. And looks like the brightness is a 61 in here. AGC high. Wide dynamic range is turned on. And that's all the way up as well. So that's the same. And we'll look at the image adjustments. So here, looks like the contrast number is a little bit low. I actually like this up around 97, and sharpness is fine, LCD is fine, and that's looks like it's all these settings are the same. The menu looks the same. There's no indication what the firmware version is. I think that's the same way with the Micro Swift. So I'll go ahead and exit. And just gonna bring this up here and show you the field of view. So you can see that the field of view kind of runs on the right hand side there. I'm going to try to aim the camera this way. And it's that right side is going to be at where the bookcase is, and then on the far left is, you can see there's the door that kind of creeps into the picture there. So it's a pretty wide field of view for this 2.3mm lens. I'm going to power up the 2.3mm Micro Swift and see what this field of view looks like from the same angle. Okay, so this is the 2.3mm lens Micro Swift here, and you can see it's much narrower. I got the bookcase on the right hand side, about the same spot. And the door doesn't show up until I pan over quite a bit there. See, there's the door there on the left. So it's quite a bit narrower. And narrower both on the vertical and the horizontal field of view. So I'm thinking that 2.3mm lens on the ELF camera might be more like the 2.1mm lens on the Micro Swift. So I'm going to fire up the Micro Swift 2.1mm lens, and let's see what that field of view looks like. Okay, so here's the Micro Swift with the 2.1mm lens, and it's just about the same field of view as the 2.3mm lens on the ELF camera. Actually, it might be even a little bit less. So let me move over to the right here. You can see that bookcase. Actually, here, I'm moving the monitor. So right there, it's about the same. So I have the bookcase on the right hand side of the monitor, and then the door, the corner of the door creeps in there. So it looks like it's about the same as the 2.3 on the ELF. So the 2.3 on the Micro Swift is definitely narrower than the 2.3 on the ELF. In terms of image quality, you can tell from just looking at the monitor, they look the same. Although this is just indoor lighting, so can't be 100% sure. I'm going to go ahead and fly the ELF camera in this next segment, and you guys can compare that to the Micro Swift. I'll have some side-by-side footage, and then you can see if there's any difference in the video quality. So here's some flight footage from both the ELF and the Micro Swift, and these are two flights on the same day at the same location, so the lighting conditions should be exactly the same. Now, I did not try and sync up the video because the flights were quite different, so there was kind of no point in trying to sync up the video. So just watch each of them, and then you get an idea of what the video quality is like for both. The light handling is pretty much identical on both of them. They're both CCD, and I think that light handling is perfectly fine on both. I think the difference is on the ELF, there's a little bit more saturation in the blues and the greens, and the sky isn't quite as blown out on the ELF as it is on the Swift. It just might be a settings issue. Basically, algorithm is a little bit different on this camera than the Swift, so I need to change the settings so that it's a little bit different, because I just use kind of the same settings I use on the Swift, and obviously that's probably not the optimal, but I think this overall still very good images on both of these, and I'm not exactly sure how much less the ELF camera is. I think it's maybe like $5 or $6 less, so I'm not sure if that much of a price difference makes any difference to you, but this does come as a bundle with the F428 TX20 stack, so it's with this camera, with that bundle altogether, makes for a really inexpensive build if you want to just put something together really quickly. You don't have to get a camera separately. Anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one.